Hey everyone, welcome to our lesson for the day. I got a question for you to start. All right? It's a what do these things have in common kind of question. So, here's what I'd like you to try and figure out. What does this letter, okay? What does this letter, let me start this again. Hey everyone, welcome to our lesson for the week. I've got a question for you as we get started, and it's this. What does this letter and this piece of cheese and this fence all have in common? Well, the answer is they're a little holy. Get it? Because like the holes and it's, a complete E. Anyways. Happy Father's Day. Look, over the past couple weeks, we've been looking at, really the start of the Israelites' journey through the wilderness, right? They've left Egypt, and now they're on their way to the Promised Land, but they've camped at the base of Mount Sinai. Well, Moses went up to receive the law from God, and the Ten Commandments are a part of that. Right? But have you ever thought about why there was even a need for a law? Maybe you have. Maybe you've been part of church life for a while and you've heard this story many times, but have you really stopped and thought about why? Why was there a law for them to even follow? Why did God give rules? Why couldn't God just sort of show them a little bit at a time as they go, or just, let them figure it out on their own? Well, there's a few different ways to answer that question. And in large part, it relates to the nature of God, a key character trait of his, and that's that he is holy, right? Not like the holes in the cheese, of course, but like as in, biblical holiness really is a lot about, how to put it this way? Well, it's about, in one aspect, it's about being distinct or set apart. Right? In other words, you are designed in a way for a purpose. There's a purpose behind everything. So, like this fence, for example, serves a purpose. It's distinct in that sense. That's only one aspect of holiness. Another aspect, it relates to purity, in that God is pure. So purity, like no imperfection, no sin, for example. Nothing to get in the way and soil it or muddy it. Nothing but pure anything. That's the other aspect of holiness. Because of sin, right? Because of sin in the lives of people, we're not holy. But because God is holy and pure, there's a difference there, a distinction, right? A barrier even, which separating that which is holy from that which is unholy or impure. And there's several ways we could illustrate it, and this fence actually is part of the illustration, right? Because sin, like this fence, creates a barrier separating the holy from the unholy, the pure from the impure, all separated by a fence. I can't get there with the fence in the way. Then sure, I could climb over. I might hurt myself. I might fall, but whatever. I could climb over. I think I could do that. Likewise, I could probably dig under and tunnel under. There's different things I could do to try and get from here to there. But none of them are permanent, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm still unholy. There's still going to be a separation. So the law that God gave the Israelites was in part about creating a way for them to become holy. They were already set apart. They were already distinct, unlike every other nation, because they were the people of God. But they still were impure. So in order to really be like God, they had to have a path for that sin to be removed. The law made them aware of the sin so that they could then seek purity. But then the law also, part of it, was to show how to become pure. And so in many ways, the law was their path to becoming more like God. right? They were on their way to holiness because of the law. So if they kept the rules, if they followed them perfectly, if they avoided the things they needed to avoid and they did the things they were supposed to do, they could become pure in God's sight. But think about how hard that must have been, right? Have you ever followed every single rule perfectly? Every single one. On my drive out here today, I don't even think I followed every rule perfectly. In fact, I was already into a school zone before I realized I was in a school zone, and I had to slam on the brakes, right? We don't follow rules perfectly. So where would that leave us as rule breakers, as ones who can't live up to the standard? Well, separated from God, but for how long? Forever? No, there needs to be a way to be forgiven. There needs to be a path to that. And in the law, there was a series of purification processes, and we call those sacrifices. Water here, this little stream running through. It might not look like it, but it's really not a good idea to drink it. You see, it could make you really sick. There could be bacteria in here. There could be any number of harmful things that could really mess you up and make you quite sick. It could be all kinds of diseases, or it's never a good idea to drink water if it's not purified, if it's unknown. But there's a workaround. You see, I brought with me today a little tablet, a purification tablet, a teeny tiny little pill-like thing that can make this water drinkable. Sure, it'll take some time to do its work. I can't just go right away, but you know, I leave that, I let it dissolve, do its thing, and it would then be safe for me to drink. It would be then pure, unlike this. You know from last week that the Israelites, they couldn't go very long without sinning, without breaking one of the rules God gave them, right? They didn't have, they were down the base of the mountain making an idol, right as God was saying, don't make idols. So they were impure, but God is pure. In Leviticus, God told the Israelites to be holy as I am holy. Be pure. In other words, be pure as I am pure. At that time, the process for purification was sacrifices. You take an animal, you end its life, you offer it to God. It was a costly thing. It cost life, not human, but animal. It cost finances to give up something that valuable to God. Well, it was costly, there was loss of life, but Scripture tells us Jesus came to be the once and for all sacrifice. What the Israelites did, what people in Jesus' day even did, didn't last. But Jesus was the sacrifice once and for all, the one that would last, so that you and me and a whole bunch of everybody in between no longer has to offer sacrifices. Sin leaves us impure. God is pure. And we are instructed to be pure. We are instructed to be like God. Thankfully, God made a way for that to happen, a way that we could do it. When you and I choose to follow Jesus, our lives are forever changed. We have God's Spirit within us, making us pure. We have access to the forgiveness that comes through Jesus. God lives in you through His Spirit, and that sets you apart. God forgives you from your sin because of Jesus, and that makes you pure. You are holy God's Spirit is within you. You become pure when you receive the gift of forgiveness. You and I can be holy too. God has done the work to make himself available to you and me. Because we cannot do the work ourselves in any way that would last. So what should our response be? Well, Jesus himself said it. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's our response. That's the way to live properly with the holy God inside of you. Love God and love others. And you can do that because of Jesus. It's the only way. Because of Jesus, the fence is gone. The fence of sin that separates us from God is gone. There's no more fence. A great way to look at this comes to us in Matthew chapter 27, verse 50-51. And there, Jesus is hanging on the cross. He's in the process of dying. And it says this, and when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. And at that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. Right? At the death of Jesus, the curtain which hung there as a physical barrier, a literal physical barrier separating unholy people from the holy God, was removed, destroyed even, by the only one with the authority and the strength to do so. You see, God does not want to be separated from you. He does not want that. And so do not put up barriers, but instead may you live in the freedom of his presence.